Dawn has hardly broken on day one of our Camino and we've already taken a wrong turn. Walking hundreds of miles across Spain seemed like a good idea when we planned it. But right now, standing in the rain, trying to see the map under our jackets, it feels a lot less certain. By the end of the day, we'll reach Getaria completely soaked, and not just from the rain. A dunking in the Atlantic Ocean will leave my backpack dripping and my expensive new power bank quietly drowned in the salt water. It may turn out to be our first Camino lesson. Sometimes it's not the big things that test you. It's the little things like a charger, a power bank, a missed turn, and where the two people who have been together a long time can still read a map in the rain without it turning into a full marital inquiry. People walk the Camino for all sorts of reasons. Some come for the physical challenge, a test of fitness. Some come to think, to find some space away from ordinary life. Some come after a loss, looking for a way forward when they are not sure how to go on. And some arrive without really knowing why at all. They just felt the pull and eventually stopped trying to explain it. Maybe that's you. Somewhere, somehow, you heard about the Camino. And since then, you've kept thinking about it. We did too. That's the Camino calling. If you're thinking about walking a Camino, subscribe to follow along. We'll share the beautiful parts, the hard parts, and the gear that makes the difference. From what to pack, what to eat, what to wear, to what happens when a long walk starts to feel like something more than just a hike. I'm Meg. This is David. People told us the Camino would test our fitness and stamina, and rather cheerfully, maybe our relationship. We've been together long enough to know that could either be very good news or a fascinating experiment, possibly both. To explain why we're here, we need to go back a bit. This was us hiking in the 1980s, and yes, we really did wear those clothes. Then life got busy. We got married, sailed up the east coast of Australia, had 4 kids, and became sporting parents, working parents. For quite a few years, our major expeditions involved driving kids and trying to remember who needed to be where. But hiking never really disappeared. Sometimes the kids came too, including the time we got caught in a blizzard in New Zealand after accidentally leaving all our food at the previous hut. Not our finest logistical moment. Eventually, the kids grew up and we started travelling again, slowly ticking off some of the world's great walks in Australia and overseas. But there was always one that felt different, the Camino de Santiago. Not just a walk, but a 1,000-year-old pilgrimage, famous not only for where it goes, but for what it seems to do to people along the way. A slower sort of life, organised by weather, appetite, conversation, and whatever the road decides to hand you that day. The first big decision was which route to walk. David wanted the Norte, the wild northern coastal route. I wanted the Francis, the classic Camino I'd seen in the films. So we compromised and made a plan. We called it the best of both worlds. We'll start on the Camino del Norte, following Spain's northern coastline from San Sebastián to Santander. Then, after 2 weeks, we'll travel inland to Leon and join the Camino Francis for the final hike to Santiago. 2 very different Caminos, one long journey. So we started training in the gym, on the trails, testing gear, learning what to carry, and just as importantly, what to leave behind. We had plenty of practical questions. Could we walk that far? What shoes, Gore-Tex boots or runners? How much should we carry? Did we really need hiking poles? But there was another question underneath all that. Would this just be a long walk across Spain, or would it become something more? People say the Camino changes you, that somewhere along the way, hikers become pilgrims. We were about to find out. Our Camino starts on a train from Madrid, north to the Basque coast to San Sebastián. The bay is stunning in the sunshine. For centuries, fishermen have launched their boats from this harbour. Today, pilgrims begin their journeys here. We catch up with friends Mark and Sarah and get a crash course in Basque culture in the lively bars of the old town. You'll quickly become an expert in the famous Basque bar snacks called pintxos. Each bar has its own speciality, and the local tradition is to move from bar to sample each. The local wine is charcoaly, always poured from shoulder height. We carbo load with the burnt Basque cheesecake, which locals say is a cultural obligation. Food and wine are affordable in Spain, and San Sebastián lives up to its reputation as one of Europe's top food destinations. You won't see many phones or selfies, just people with a glass in one hand, pintxos in the other, talking and laughing as if there was nowhere else they would rather be. It feels nostalgic, happy, and real, like a step back into how life used to be. We don't know it yet, but the Camino will take that feeling across hundreds of kilometres. There is one small piece of paperwork that turns this from a holiday into a pilgrimage, the pilgrim passport, a tradition as old as the Camino. We're hoping to have our first stamp at the cathedral, but we can't find out where to go, so the tourist bureau will have to do. It's a small thing, but the moment it lands, something shifts and the Camino stops being an idea and becomes our new reality. It's just before dawn and we're up before the city, boots laced, jackets pulled tight, stepping out into rain and darkness. Ahead lies our Camino. Our friends Jim and Jill have arrived to make us a party of 6 would-be pilgrims. You might know the feeling at the start of an awfully big adventure, butterflies and excitement tinged with nerves. And then you start walking and something settles. Somewhere ahead lies Getaria, 26 kilometres away. Behind us, ordinary life fades in the distance. By the time the dawn breaks, we're soaked but strangely happy. Below us, the city glows on the bay. Ahead, the path winds through deep forests and over mountains, clinging to the edge of the Atlantic. Wet, windy, wild, somehow everything we hoped for. Expect the famous hills of the Norte to start early, so we're pleased to see a sign that says, "For pilgrims, rest here," at a small wooden shelter. Later, we come to a cafe. We've heard rumours from other pilgrims that it's run by a cult, but it's a warm and cosy break from the rain, and the coffee, pizza, and cake offered for a donation hit the spot. On a wall, a painting says, "There is hope for the hopeless." We wonder if it's a special message for the pilgrims struggling on these early hills and wondering what on earth they've signed up for. It's our first introduction to trail magic. Pilgrims are part of the landscape on Camino, and locals leave benches, food, even a first aid station to make the day easier for someone they will never know. The ferns and oaks are so pretty as the forest closes in around us. Then the trees part and Orio is below us, an old Basque fishing town that seems to belong to another rhythm of life altogether. It's a lovely and strange sensation to walk through a town as people are going about their day, as if pilgrims threading through is the most ordinary thing in the world. We follow the arrows through the lane across the bridge and then, because this is the Norte, begin climbing again. The last few kilometres from Zarautz to Getaria add plenty of drama. Zarautz is famous for its surfing beaches, and that might explain the wild waves that smash over the promenade, soaking us as we dash between them, squealing and laughing like children. It's so funny to see everyone get soaked, except when it happens to me. When I survey the damage to my electrics, I wonder if it's an omen of trouble to come. We reach the Art Deco monument to Juan Sebastián Elcano, the Basque sailor who completed the first circumnavigation of the world. At the top is the goddess Nike, symbolising the victory in the journey itself. We watch the colourful fishing boats bobbing in the harbour and imagine this local mariner heading out into the unknown. There's something fitting for pilgrims about it. Every adventure begins by being brave enough to leave the shore of the life you know. By the time we find our hotel, we're wet and tired, and more relieved than enlightened, which is probably exactly how a pilgrimage should begin. We've heard about something amazing for tomorrow, and we're going to take a detour to find it. The morning dawns sunny and warm on day 2. We have at least 5 k's before a town, so we take the time for a hearty breakfast at our hotel. We've heard today will be one of the most beautiful stages on any Camino, and we'll see 60 million years of Earth's history written on a cliff face. Already we've learnt 2 things. The first is how beautiful the Basque Country is. There are lush, shady paths, the bright blue of the Atlantic Ocean, cliff trails and misty valleys. It's hilly and hard, but the beauty is breathtaking. Speaking of which, there's one thing we've come to appreciate immediately. To be honest, I was considering not packing hiking poles, but even this early on, the hiking poles are a godsend. When you consider they reduce the load on your knees by 25% per step, the result is tons of force redirected away from your knee joints in the course of a day. The effect is greatest on downhill sections where the knees take the hardest beating. I invested in a lightweight carbon pair that weren't cheap, but I love the way they fit easily in my backpack and then snap together when needed. The optional rubber end is recommended for carry-on luggage, but also because it's less damaging to the environment and feels softer underhand. You want to be able to adjust them too, shorter on the climbs to push off, longer on the descents for effective load bearing. Now, the Flysch. After Zumaia, there is an alternative route which follows the coastline through the UNESCO Global Geopark. It's a short detour, but worth every step. Scientists come from around the world to study the layers of rock tilted almost vertical by the force of tectonic collisions millions of years ago. We search for the black line of iridium. It shows the moment the dinosaurs and 75% of all life on Earth died after a meteorite hit the Yucatan in Mexico and triggered a global catastrophe. It's mysterious and powerful. No wonder these cliffs became the backdrop for Game of Thrones, the ancient homeland of House Targaryen. We stop for a picnic lunch. Fresh bread, jamon, cheese and fruit. Everything tastes better on the trail. The second thing we've learned is to take each day as it comes. We walk, find a view, share a meal, and think about tomorrow later. By the time we read Itziar late that afternoon, sun-flushed, tired and happy, our hotel is locked and the restaurant's closed. Siesta is taken seriously in rural Spain, and pilgrims ignore it at their peril. Day 3 on the Camino del Norte, and we're starting to understand why locals call this the hard Camino. From Itziar, the trail winds inland and uphill through forest and farmland. By lunchtime, we're already on our way to gain over 1,000 metres in elevation. At the 20k mark, we break in the cool shade. We follow the advice of the Codex Calectinus, the original 12th century Camino guidebook. It says, "Rest at midday. It's good for your soul and your shoes." The Codex Calectinus is full of practical advice for pilgrims in the Middle Ages, and the spirit of what it says is that the midday rest is wisdom. So we eat lunch and rest on the soft grass, watching the leaves in the dappled light, until we remember we still have hours to go. Hydration packs come into their own on days like this, and there are 2 things to consider. One is the convenience of having water on tap that can be easily reached. A water bottle on the side of your backpack can be hard to access, and the awkward back twist to reach it can make you think twice about another drink. And that's a problem because hydration is everything on long hikes. Dehydration doesn't just make you thirsty, it makes you slower, more fatigued, and more likely to make poor decisions. On a walk over this many days, that compounds quickly. The second thing I love is the magnetic clip to hold the mouthpiece in place. It makes it easy to reach and also stops the nozzle from picking up germs on the ground when you take off your pack. You can buy the clip for about $10 online. It's probably the smallest thing you'll appreciate the most. The climb after Olats is brutal and beautiful. Narrow farm lanes, deep green hills, and silence broken only by the cowbells and our footsteps. It's tough, but the rewards are pure Basque magic. Misty ridgelines, stone churches, and valleys that feel untouched by time. By late afternoon, we're grateful to reach our hotel and have our pilgrim passport stamped. 29 kilometres, over 1,000 metres of climb, and a new respect for the phrase, the hard Camino. Another 29 kilometres on day 4, and we're still waiting for the mythical Camino walking legs to arrive. The fatigue manifests itself in different ways. As well as my power bank drowning, I've now left my 2 European chargers in the last 2 hotels. Not to worry, David has a spare one I can use. The Basque Country unfolds step by step, sunlight on our backs, time measured by ancient church bells, horses watching as we pass. We start to see the country from the inside, not as tourists, but slowly, close enough to notice the details and feel part of the rhythm of life. That's why when we reach Gernika, it hits hard. This peaceful town was bombed to rubble in 1937 on market day. Families killed, homes erased. A warning the world still hasn't learned. Picasso responded with Gernika, a painting that warns against the destruction of war that still carries its full force 90 years later. For years under Franco, it was illegal to own this painting. Today, a mural is displayed in the town, more moving than the original in Madrid. By the end of the day, we're dusty, quiet, and exhausted. But we've walked through beauty and history, and both have a way of staying with you. We leave Gernika quietly and begin the first climb of the day. I'm especially quiet as I realise I have now left David's charger in the hotel room. Luckily, he has one more we can share. Today is another long stage, nearly 30 kilometres up over mountains, and by now we're physically and mentally exhausted. They say this is one of the hardest days on the Camino del Norte, and we felt it. You follow the route through mountain passes, dropping into valleys and climbing out of them again. There's something I want to tell you because nobody quite told us. There's another meaning to the term bonked, and somewhere between the climbs and the kilometres, we experience it. We realise our mistake. We've been eating like we do at home, not like people walking 25 to 30 k's a day over mountains, carrying a pack day after day. That's at least double the calories of a normal workday, possibly more. No wonder we were running on empty. At this stage, we bonk, in the context that cyclists and runners use the word to describe the exhaustion of your body depleted of energy. By the afternoon, we arrive at the small town of Larabetzu, starving, so we duck into a small, unremarkable bar called Taberna Arasta and ask for a sandwich. There's no menu, just a bartender who smiles and waves us to a table and says, "Mama is cooking." A few minutes later it begins, a steaming bowl of Basque red beans, slow cooked with peppers and olive oil, classic food of the Basque Country. Then roast chicken cooked to perfection, finished by the Basque version of creme caramel straight from the oven. Simple, honest, and possibly one of the best meals we've eaten. The bartender and his mama are absolutely delightful, and they communicate by gestures that they are pleased to meet someone from the land of the kangaroo. We learn that to walk well, you have to eat well. By the time we reach Zumaia, we are full, grateful, and completely done in. Sometimes the Camino doesn't just feed your soul, it feeds your body too. Day 6, and we see Bilbao from the ridge, then drop into the old town. After 5 days of gentle Basque countryside, the bustling markets, pintxos bars, and so many people feels exciting and a little bit overwhelming. It's hard to believe that just a few decades ago, the city's industry and its spirit had collapsed. Unemployment soared, the river was black with pollution, and the future looked bleak. In 1991, with an economy on its knees, Bilbao made an audacious gamble, betting its future on one bold Guggenheim museum it could barely afford. architect Frank Gehry drew a breathtaking titanium ship for a city that had lost its shipyards. The turnaround was stunning, with millions of visitors and billions of euros pouring into the local economy. The Bilbao effect has become a global case study in urban rebirth. A day off in Bilbao is a highlight. The old town is busy and alive. The Mercado is full of food and noise and the particular energy of a place where locals are obsessed with food in the best possible way. The archaeological museum is fascinating, even though we get kicked out at 2 p.m. for siesta. We treat ourselves at Amarin, apparently the 16th best steakhouse in the world. It's expensive and probably best left for pilgrims who are real steak aficionados. So today we rest, eating pintxos, watching the city light change on the river, laughter spilling from bars. After days of walking, it feels good to be swept up in it all, part of a city that found a way to rebuild itself from the ground up. It occurs to us, sitting here, that we're doing something not entirely unlike what the city did, moving through difficulty towards something we cannot fully see yet, trusting that the effort is not wasted, discovering step by step what we are capable of. Tomorrow, it's boots back on. The Camino is waiting just beyond the city's edge.